What's up, everybody? Matt from BAAM Ranch. So I wanted to kind of start another, little mini series, so to speak. And what I want to do is I want to come up with 20, 25, I'm not sure how many things it's going to be, but some tasks that we can all do, and I'm going to do these myself, that over the course of 60 days, it will be impossible to not improve our lives. And because this is a preparedness channel, there's going to be some prepping stuff in there too. And it is going to be, prepping focused, but it's also going to improve our lives, that we're currently living as well. So I just thought I'd share with you the things that I'm going to be doing. And today we'll cover the first 5 of those. I don't know how many we're going to cover, in each video, or how many there's going to be in total. I haven't quite made up my mind on that yet. I do want to say before I get started that this was kind of inspired by a podcast from the SurvivalPodcast with Jack Spirko. So, I don't necessarily take credit for all of these, and some of them will be basically just direct copies of what he said before as well. As stated, we're into preparedness, but how can we work that into designing our lifestyle around that? We don't want to wait till the end of the world to live a good life. Yes, we want to be prepared if something happens, but we want to do so in a way that helps us today. These aren't in any order, except for the first 2. And the first 2 are kind of boring, but they're the most important in my opinion, and I think that they need to be the first to be put into place. So that's the reason why I'm going to go ahead and include them on this first video. Another thing is, goals are absolutely worthless. Everybody sets these goals, and it's a waste of time. If you're making goals, you just stop. Executable plans is what we're looking for. We want executable plans, and that's what these are. So if you do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe, and hit the little bell and leave the comment, do all of the things, push all the buttons, and we'll get started with the first one. Get my note cards here. All right, so the first one, I want to make a 60-day log of every single dime I spend, all of it. If run to the gas station, you can grab a Coke, or put some money in the vending machine at work, everything. Go through bank statements and all these little subscriptions, all of the Netflixes and the Disneys, and I'm subscribed to a few different Patreon channels. So I want to include all of that for 60 days. Write down every single thing. I'm going to do this with my wife as well, and I encourage you to do the same. Now, with this, for the 60 days, I'm not going to change anything, and I don't suggest you do either. Make it easy. Just write down what you're spending. Write it down, and use a physical notebook to do this. You can, pull it up online or whatever, but the actual act of physically writing it down with a pen or pencil on a piece of paper, that speaks a lot. Second thing, we're going to do the same thing, except for it's going to be food. And this is going to be useful in a whole bunch of different places. Every single food item that I consume, I want you to write them all down. The drinks that you take to work, the lunch that you buy whenever you're out on the road, snacks, all of it, all of your Dr. Peppers or Cokes or whatever it is that you drink. Write down every bit of that. I'm not asking you to go on a diet. I'm not asking you to cut back. I'm not asking you to eat more healthy. Simple, easy. Just write it down. That's all that's needed. Just document it. And if you miss one, with your pack of gum or whatever, don't worry about it. Don't make this too difficult. Just simply write down 60 days of everything that you ate. Not that you bought and stored, but the stuff that you actually physically ate. All right, the third thing is I want you to double your pantry if you can. Get as close to it as you can. Some of the copy canning. If I normally buy 2 cans of corn every week, well, the next week I'm buying, 4 cans of corn and getting that thing doubled. And if 2 cans of corn is my weekly normal, well, then I'm going to have 2 cans in reserve. And it doesn't take any time at all to get that set back. You can bolster your food supply in absolutely nothing flat. Looking at your daily food intake log will help you with this. It'll help you out a lot, as well as your spending log to try to maybe find where, okay, well, I'm spending a whole lot less money at this particular grocery store than at this one. So all this stuff is going to tie into each other. And along with building your food log, try to, instead of focusing on different meals, okay, I want hot dogs and I want, let's do sloppy joes one day. Try to look at the ingredients. What are the ingredients that I need to make tacos, rather than just buying, taco meat, or if I want to, make whatever, it doesn't matter, but what are the ingredients it takes to make that, and stockpile those and focus on that. This is, let's look at the pantry storage type thing. That's what we're doing. We're bolstering our food supply. Fourth thing, learn to cook at least 1 new recipe from scratch per week, every week for 60 days. This is not difficult to do, and it's actually something that is incredibly satisfying. Eating frozen fajitas versus fajitas that you made yourself, and learn to cook these recipes from the food that you're actually storing. It's not that difficult to make up some tortillas. I'm on a Mexican food kick if you can't tell, but flour, water, salt, shortening, bacon grease, knead, let rest, flatten, fry. Easy. You want to make tacos? Cool. Pound of ground beef, salt, pepper, garlic, cumin. I like ancho chili powder in mine. Dump that in. You cook your beef until it's almost done. Dump in about 1.5 cups of beef broth. I usually make mine up from a bouillon or whatever. Dump the seasonings in there and then reduce that down until it starts to look like taco meat. Throw that on your homemade tortillas that you made the day before, and you don't understand what you've been missing. It's better than any restaurant you've ever been to. Top all that off with some homemade salsa that you grew from your garden, and there's just something empowering about that. But learn to make 1 new recipe per week from scratch, and not just, okay, I did it, that's good enough, but commit it to memory. Download it into the hard drive of your brain to be stored permanently. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You scrap it. Don't do it again. Try again next week. But if it's something that you enjoy, write it down so you don't forget how to do it next time. But learn to cook from scratch. Getting all my cards out of order here. The next one, personal risk assessment. Now, this one is going to take a little bit of work. It's not going to cost much money, but it's going to take some work. What I want you to do is to start with you. Start with you personally. What are all the reasonable risks that could happen to you, that could cause a threat to you? And yes, there's some dude way off, on the other side of the globe that says he wants to, blow you up or whatever. And yes, Putin may decide to, start a thermonuclear war. All of those things are possibilities. Calm down. Let's shrink it down. Let's look at the things that are most likely to happen to you personally. That's things like a job loss, right? Health issues. If there's a pile of wood outside that rattlesnakes live in, well, we probably need to get the pile of wood where we're not walking by it every day, or do something else with that. You know, personal risk assessment. Start with you, then move out to your home, your neighborhood, city, county, all the way out until we get to what is finally at the global level. And we're going to look at natural stuff, you know, storms, weather-related things, earthquakes, the political environment. This is going to be different depending on where you live. The political environment I have right here in Texas is a whole lot different than the political environment in Illinois. And the political environment of where I live at, specifically in Texas, is a whole lot different than it is in Austin, Texas. Completely different. Even different than it is, you know, 30 miles down the road, which in Texas is just like nothing. Income. The only way to guarantee your income is to have more than one income. There's just no way to replace that. Or not, back up a minute. There is a way to replace that, but the only way to guarantee that or to buffer that is to have another income, because there is no such thing as job security. What can you do to maybe provide another stream of income? Is that a side hustle? I don't know. You're going to have to decide, you know, yourself. Is it investing in real estate if you've got the liquid cash to be able to do that? Is it, you know, investing in some dividend stocks? I don't know. But take that into your risk assessment that you're doing on yourself. What about other location-specific things? There's a railroad right up the street, right this way. And if we catch the timing right and a train drives by, you'll probably be able to hear it. Are there possibly some dangers that we've seen recently with railroad tracks? And this one is just as busy as the one that was in Ohio. And they're all carrying the same type of stuff. What about your power? You know, my grandmother she lives, you know, on a ranch. And there's several other houses within, you know, a few miles of her. But they were all put in decades, in some cases, after her house. And they're all on a separate power. They're all on a different power line than she is, even though they're all in the same general area. So when the power goes out in her area, we see the power for everybody else come back on in anywhere from 1 to 5 days. She's on her own separate line that goes miles and miles out away from any of those other people. It's nothing for her to be out of power for 2 weeks. Have you looked at where your power comes in at? Have you looked at what it might take to be able to disrupt that? We've seen a lot of that, you know, on a malicious level, at least here recently. That's something to take a look at, you know, these infrastructure things. You know, we just saw the dam in Ukraine go down. There's a lot of people in a lot of trouble because that dam was exploded. I'm not going to get into the politics of who done it, because that's another video. I'm not even going to talk about it. So start from you, the person. Start from internal, small, and work your way out. And keep in mind that the more likely something is to happen, the fewer people it will affect. And likewise, the more people that it's likely to affect, the less likely it is to happen. A meteor coming in, just like the dinosaurs smashing into the earth and killing off the entire planet, yeah, that pretty much affects everybody. The likelihood of that is pretty small. The likelihood of you not being able to work for 3 months because you were lifting things that you shouldn't have been lifting, and now you had a hernia and required surgery, and you can't do your physical labor job for a while, you know, it's pretty likely that might actually happen, you know. So take a realistic look at that. But what I want to end with this is actually do these things. And remember, goals suck. That's the reason why I didn't tell you, you know, we want to aim to get this. We want to aim to get that. Goals are worthless. Nobody ever meets their goals. What is successful is an executable plan. And that's what I'm trying to give you guys, is executable plans. Like I said, I'm going to be doing these things myself over the next 60 days as well. So actually get intentional about this stuff and let me know. I mean, if this is something that you've done before, I really want to hear from you. You know, I really do enjoy y'all's input. It's kind of weird. Here I am talking to this sideways smartphone. I never know if anybody's actually watching these. I see little view numbers go up, but are people actually taking anything from it? I don't know. Anyway, until next time, you guys be safe.